Okay, hello, hello. We are live with our very first well, it's not our first live stream per se because we've done a live stream for grants before, but our first live stream with some really cool projects building on Scroll. So, before I get started, let's do introductions. Hi, I'm Emily. I'm your host for today. I'm just going to be here in the background and let our guests shine. So yeah, I guess both of you take it away. Can I have a brief introduction who you guys are and what we're working on?
Sure, yeah. I can go first. I'm Justin Bebis. I'm the founder and CEO of Conclave. We're kind of the parent company of Lore, and we're building credit infrastructure on Scroll. So essentially, we're giving people the tools to take out loans and build up collateral and really just generate income on their crypto savings.
Oh yeah, and I'm Ulver, and I started out as a developer. Actually, I was building strategies mainly and stuff, and I've worked in a lot of different kinds of systems. And yeah, right now I'm doing more like business development, podcasting, that sort of thing. So I'm more involved on the business side nowadays.
Yeah, perfect, perfect. I mean, I see we have matching mics here, so I guess twin souls. I don't know, is that the correct word?
Are we
If
all matching? Wow, that's
I've
amazing.
maybe.
my camera is still broken. I gave my camera to a repairman like a month and a half ago, and he quoted me $375, so I just haven't picked it up. So it's over for me. But I'm on my laptop right now. Otherwise, we would be totally matching, I think.
I mean, your quality looks amazing, so kudos to your
MacBook
laptop.
M3, highly recommended.
Okay, perfect. I was looking into new laptops yesterday, so good to know. But forget about laptops. Let's talk about lore. I guess for those of us who aren't familiar, I know you kind of briefly touched on it, but let's dive in a little bit deeper. What is lore and what problems is it designed to solve? Um,
Sure. Do you want to try tackling what is lore, and maybe I'll tackle the problems,
Yeah,
Magnus?
sure. Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, I guess you can say it's the evolution of all the systems we've been building for a while. So we are like money market builders and stablecoin builders. So we run these kinds of systems for a long time, and we have like an ABV2 fork, that we modified a lot, and it's evolved over the years. And also we worked with liquidity, and we made a lot of modifications to that. And lore is kind of the evolution of everything, that we've been doing for, quite a long time now. It's like several years. So we're very experienced builders, and we want to create like something that is actually like long-term sustainable and actually good for the users in the long term. So we're kind of like, capital efficiency maxis to the fullest extent. So I guess it's a kind of like a system where you can get cheap loans. You can mint a stable coin. You can use our lending market to be able to lend and borrow on your assets. But then at the same time, we're doing this in a very capital efficient way. So the capital is actually for the stablecoin is generating interest because we're depositing it in the lending market. So it's a very like capital efficient system to make yield and to make like the highest yields possible, basically.
Yeah, yeah, it's like we kind of range roughly like 2x to 10x more capital efficient than analogs, and that sounds like kind of an unbelievable number when people are trying to squeeze out like single basis points efficiency wise. But really what we do is we are able to take the collateral of the CDP and then use the lending platform to let people borrow directly from it. So I was a big user of Liquidity in 2021. We've become really good friends with the Liquidity team, and basically all the stuff like we annoy them about, in Discord we just kind of built, being, hey, like interest-free loans are great. However, you know, and we see this more and more as interest rates start to rise. It's like really bad for the lender at times because of redemptions, and furthermore, there's not really a way once someone takes the loan out for you to capitalize on them being in the system. So we can deliver the interest-free loans or the low interest loans on one hand, and then on the other hand, we can use that capital in the system to be really, really productive. And yeah, we've got, you know, I think like 27 some audits right now, and you know, we go really, really ham. And yeah, we're just lovers of open source software. We're lovers of DeFi. And there was a second part to the question I think I lost, if you wouldn't mind
Yeah,
hitting
yeah,
that
yeah.
real
So
quick
what
again.
problems is it designed to solve?
Yeah, so really sustainability is number one for us. So, you know, you have in any kind of DeFi scenario, you have the maker or the LP, you have the person using the service. You know, sometimes it would be a taker, sometimes it would be a borrower, however you want to frame them. And then you have the token holder or the governor. You know, and aligning those three parties we found is borderline impossible, because it's either like, you know, you, the protocol, or you, the LP, is giving up a bunch of value to a counterparty, and we often see it's sort of like a negative sum game. And oftentimes the people we see lose are the token holders and the people providing governance. So, you know, what we've done is, you know, we think really hard about this number in the sky being the amount of tokens that are being created to facilitate, you know, the early adoption of the protocol, being, hey, like, we need to bootstrap liquidity, we need to get people interested, we need to give people exposure, we need to get people excited. No better tool for incentive alignment in the entire world than a token. So as we start kind of spitting out these tokens, to us, the number one goal is that for every dollar of tokens that are put out onto the market, we can create a dollar of revenue to match. And there really aren't any platforms that can do this in DeFi for more than like a day. Like maybe when it's super volatile, like it makes sense. But to us, we see that as kind of like the inflection point between, you know, DeFi is this cool experiment, and oh, DeFi is going to change the world forever. And, you know, part of that is reducing risk. So the higher risk you have on your platform, the more you'll have to pay someone to use it. And there's so much risk that I don't want to say is easy to mitigate, but when you're talking about technical risks, security risks, risks associated with economic arbitrage, those are things we also really draw hard on. And we do a lot of consulting for other teams about security and about risk management. And we feel that one of the best things that we can do is we can lower the overall risk of the platform, so we can pay people less yield, improve outcomes for everyone, and eventually achieve that perfect 1-to-1 ratio as we run these go-to-market strategies on. And we're focused on non-Ethereum chains because we feel that this problem has kind of already been solved on Ethereum. You know, you have profitable businesses on Ethereum, but I would say there's no L2, there's no alt L1 that has a single profitable business on it. Not necessarily that we need to be thinking about these things as businesses, but at the very least, thinking about them as you know, hopefully sustainable efforts would be good.
Oh, is that considered a hot take? Does a who out there is running a profitable business that feels insulted right now? I don't know. Let me know. I do want to address
At scale,
that's
you know, yeah.
yeah. I do want to address, I think, one comment that came through. How can there be a decentralized lending project and a non-decentralized network? I think that's probably a question more for Scroll. Short answer being, right, I think all L2s right now are on training reels. Well, I guess Tycho recently went mainnet, but for the most part, right, like it is in the future, coming soon, TM.
Yeah.
And I think the cool thing about Scroll, and you touched upon this earlier when you're talking about like open sourcing, as we've been building in the open. So that's
Good tech.
aside.
Good tech.
Good tech.
Scroll, I would say, like, in terms of the builder respect level, I think Scroll is way up there. So yeah, you
Wow.
guys are doing something right.
High praise. Well, we can go into the scroll shield later. I still want to talk about lore. Um, because I think it's really interesting. I want to kind of dial back and talk about lore from the start. Like, why create, I guess, another DeFi product, right? And all this noise and maybe there's not noise. There's always new innovations coming out, lore being an example, right? But like what's the story behind lore? What's a lore?
Yeah, the lore behind lore. I mean, I'll tell you, kind of, we do a lot of research and development, and in our history, we have kind of found that um, people respond much better to native protocols. And, you know, part of our development effort in trying to create the most secure, most stable platform possible, the typical DeFi company isn't able to innovate at anywhere near a speed that you would expect from like a Web2 company, for example. So where our tech stack comes in and where lore comes in especially is that we look for networks where people need a secure way to expose themselves to the native ecosystem. And frankly, the Nuri team knocked on our door and was like, guys, like, I want to park a bunch of money on I'm like confused between Nuri, Scroll, and Lore. Ooh, I want to
Yeah, it's hard.
park a bunch of funds on Scroll, and then we're like, all right, well, let's see what we can do. So within 48 hours of us talking to Sandy, I was like, wow, these people are smart. We created the Lore brand. The whole team is like super excited, and we deployed the protocol. And what Lore is inheriting is Laura's inheriting our speed to market. Laura's inheriting kind of our tech stack that I was talking about, the really capital efficient one. And what Laura's going to inherit further is when we deploy, or when we deploy, oh my gosh,
It was
it's
intentional.
it's
Super clever.
7:30. Yeah, when we deploy Laura USD, we're kind of going to throw the whole kit and caboodle at it, meaning like we have a lot of tech that's fresh out of audit that we haven't really used anywhere else or thought about using anywhere else, and we have Scroll kind of in our sights as the testing ground for it. And a lot of that has to do with our time-weighted staking mechanism. A lot of that has to do with the way we can interact with decentralized exchanges, as well as the launch mechanism overall for Lore, which maybe we'll get into a bit later. But Lore to us is really our effort to make secure lending primitives available to the people that need them, and meeting them where they're at, because everybody's farming on Scroll. And I think there's just a need for a really experienced, seasoned player in the ecosystem for people who don't want to farm on Aave, which is obviously kind of the pinnacle of DeFi lending. It's just like I was talking about earlier, because the risk and reward is so different from a native protocol. A lot of people, they can't deliver the APR that we can on Lore. Is there anything you would add to that, Ulver?
Yeah. I mean, our I guess you can say our specialty is like we have a wide network across all the different blockchains, and we kind of have our ear to the industry, so to speak. So we're very good at identifying opportunities, seeing where we can provide a lot of value to an ecosystem, and then being able to like quickly move on that as well. And I think that's what we saw here, that it's a great opportunity for us to help in this ecosystem, and also like be here for the long term, and to help build in over the coming years as well. So yeah, I guess that's the only thing I would add.
That's amazing. I guess for those of you who tuned in, expecting Sandy to be here, unfortunately, she wasn't feeling very well, so that's why she's not. But I will relay the fact that you guys talked to her within 48 hours. We're like, let's go. I think that speaks a lot of volume about, I guess, to your bullishness. Thank you so much. Of course, it feels good. At the same time, the fastest, like how fast you guys iterate and move, which I think is like super high signal for a team. Oh, we did have a question come through. What kind of natives are available on Lore?
Like native assets. I'm going to try to interpret that question as best I can. Any LRT asset, if it's not already there, it will be there. So talking about Puff ETH, talking about Stone from the Stake Stone team, talking about We ETH or WETH from EtherFi, talking about RS ETH from Kelp DAO, staked ETH from Lido, and obviously ETH. That's kind of really what we're focused on. We want to be the best place to get outsized return on LRT assets and Ethereum. And then we'll be slowly kind of, whenever you go on a new network, like we usually take a month or a month and a half to just kind of get comfortable with the quirks of the network and also with how liquidity providers behave. How can we think about this liquidity pool? Because on some networks, you can see $10 million of liquidity, but it's liquidity that's quick to flee when things get volatile. So really, seeing how Scroll responds to volatility will inform a lot of the future listing decisions and risk management decisions as we get moving. But yeah, you can expect any asset that has like appreciable volume on Scroll and appreciable adoption, we will adopt. And then there are a couple cool asset providers like Elixir's DUSD, and we're trying to get Usual Money's USD0 onto the network. So we're always trying to snipe the cool assets in the DeFi ecosystem and act as kind of a way for them to penetrate a new market. So that's one of the functions we serve, is like we're willing to list experimental stuff, kind of occupying a different risk profile than Aave, and it's helpful to have someone like us willing to spend the incentives on it.
Yeah, super cool. We did have a comment come through. I guess maybe someone thought you were Justin Bieber. Not sure if actually true, but I think speaks to the poppy kind of vibes you are having. Experimental sounds coming from the Biebs himself. I don't know. High
I
praise,
won't
high
sing for
praise.
you right now, but maybe like the third or fourth podcast we do.
Okay, okay. I was thinking at the end you could be our outro. Dude,
You don't want to hear that.
I don't remember anything from Justin Bieber except like "Never Say Never." Is that what it is?
Baby,
Never say never to
baby,
any
baby,
nude native.
ooh. All right, that's as much as you'll get.
Well, that was good. That was good. Cool. I mean, I wanted to. I know I want to talk a little bit about, I guess, your experience thus far. Launching on Scroll. What have been the highlights? I think there's also a good opportunity to talk about like difficulties, lesson learned for anybody else like in the space, wondering, how do I get started? How do I become somebody like you? I guess.
Is that a
Um,
Justin Bieber song? That sounds like
how do I
a song
become
title.
somebody
It could
like
be.
you? I don't know. Yeah,
That's
I
the
Could
next.
be.
guess.
That's the next hit. Were you that in tune with the deployment crew over while they were firing off Scroll? Can you speak much to that?
Not really. I haven't had much involvement on the deployment side of it.
Okay, well, I've been in the group chats. I just didn't want to hog the conversation, but yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, Scroll was really easy. We've kind of experimented with a lot of ZK networks, alternative networks. Usually, there are a lot of interesting technical quirks, like maybe you have to interact with a precompile, or maybe you have to change your hard hat or foundry settings, but we found that a lot of our infrastructure worked out of the box, which was why we were able to go from conversation to deployment in less than 48 hours. But I would say like, the number one thing for us is less so like we're an engineering like crew. Like we've got 15 engineers, we're psycho. Those are the problems that don't hurt us. The problems I would say are like finding the right market to address. And I would say what Scroll has done really well, and probably, even more so a reason we were able to move so quickly, was you've got a lot of great trendy collateral and amazing liquidity on the network. So looking at almost $300 million of ETH, hundreds of millions of dollars of LRT tokens. You've got $100 million of Solve BTC on the network, and a ton of stablecoins. I think maybe closer to 50 million. But that to us is such an amazing signal, because ETH liquidity is hard to come by. And, getting your hands on ETH liquidity, like you look at Arbitrum, probably the great L2 ETH liquidity hub, it requires like a certain level of commitment and a certain level of alignment to say to people who've been ETH holders for a long time, hey, like we're here and we're going to actually, provide a benefit to your network, and we're going to be aligned, and we are Ethereum. And I think that's something a lot of L2s have a hard time understanding. It's like, okay, you're doing your thing. That's awesome. But understand that the reason we're on your L2 is because it's on Ethereum. And I think you guys do a really great job. The Ethereum alignment memes, I love them. And really, frankly, like I mean, our whole team is kind of in love with Ethereum, I would say, to a certain extent. So you just have the perfect pool of assets, really easy to build on, and all the best liquidity. And our friends are here from Nuri, so that makes it a really easy go ahead for us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess I'd add to that. I usually do the technical integrations. So, if we have to figure out like, oh, what kind of code change do we need to deploy here, then that's the kind of work I do. So I guess for this, I didn't have to do anything. So, so I guess
Yeah.
that's my feedback for this
Perfect.
one.
I
Yeah.
love I love I love it when I can be smooth-brained, for sure. Um, I do wanna say it felt, I think, inspiring that, you guys are super, like, I am assuming, like, ETH maxis are excited about that kind of thing. I cycle through, like, moments of cynicism where I'm like, does it even matter? I mean, like, in the grand scheme of things, and I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I think ultimately it does. But
Yeah.
anyways, moving on, I do wanna address some questions we got in the chat as well.
Yeah, I think there was a good one about the IFO.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, why do an IFO and what's the benefit?
Yeah. Cool.
Ooh, wow, the comment showing tech. That's cool.
Yeah.
Do you want to take a whack at that before I start going crazy for 5 minutes?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's several benefits here, and it's kind of based on our experience of launching several protocols now. And I think one of the benefits obviously is like speed. Like it takes a long time to be able to set up a token raise and to get everyone in line, get investors, and all of this. And using this, we're able to give this to the community. So there is like no pre-investment where like some VCs got a big bag and they're gonna dump on you like as soon as you start farming. So I guess that's a benefit, that this is kind of like for the community, and also it means we'll be able to offer like a very high yield for this. And I think it works like exceptionally well on our O token design. So the incentives will be paid in O tokens, so option tokens. So this way you have the option to sell it if you want, like for a profit, or you can decide to keep it as well. But the difference is we as a protocol also generate revenue for this. So it is kind of like a token raise on its own, I guess you can say. So it's like kind of simplifying things and making it like ultra fast, and also giving better access to the community, and also like really high yields as well. So I think those are some like really great benefits. Do you have anything
Yeah.
to add to that, Justin?
Yeah, I mean, I think during, like, if you remember, in 2020 DeFi summer bleeding into 2021, that to me was a really magical time, like being able to kind of, farm during these discovery periods, and really watch the markets go crazy and try to figure out what the heck is this thing? How do we do it? How do we, price it? How do we understand it? And that to us is a magic that we've been trying really hard to recapture. And a lot of that has been eaten up by like VCs in the private market. And really it's like, for example, like as an L2, like the work you're doing is so difficult and so huge in scope that you need to go to the private market and you need to say, hey, reputable VC firms, can you help us build this? And there's really no other option. Like you can't bootstrap an effort as humongous as Scroll, but we've been building in DeFi for so long, and everything we do is automated at this point. Our systems are so mature. All the R&D we're doing, it's just like, okay, here's a new thing, and we're far enough ahead that we can automate it and get it wrapped into the system piece by piece. So when you're kind of interacting with the VC universe, things become very expensive very quickly. That's where we get these long tail assets. And as someone who maybe looks at how big Scroll is and it's like, wow, I'm priced out. I can't afford that. I can't get exposed. Someone like an ecosystem project, we align ourselves so well with Scroll that it's like, hey, like this is something that not only can I enjoy and farm Scroll marks with or farm my LRT points with, but I also get free tokens and I also get free alignment and I also get free exposure just by kind of existing within the ecosystem. And that's something we're trying really hard to bring back. And we're trying to use all the work we've done on sustainability to make it work a lot better this time. Because in 2020, it's like nobody knew how to optimize incentives. Nobody knew how to, make sure that, they weren't totally hemorrhaging money. And then look back a year later like, wow, we really messed up. So just taking modern technology in DeFi, taking the most modern kind of thought processes as it pertains to token issuance, and combining that with kind of the fun and excitement of DeFi summer. And hopefully this week you'll see Scroll Summer kick off with us beginning the IFO.
Okay, cool. We are almost at time. Do you guys have time for like more questions?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think there's an hour blocked off, so
Oh, is
happy to
there?
go as
Okay.
long as you'd like. Yeah.
My calendar says 30 minutes, but I'm gonna, I'm also free. So I want to dive into like upcoming questions too in the chat. Great, keep asking. Oh, I love this one though. With Justin Biebs leading the way, I guess it's safe to say it's too late now to say sorry. So I don't know. Yeah, okay. Regardless,
Thank you.
yeah, back to the previous one. I guess Shashi was asking, are you guys focused on bridgeless solutions?
I mean, I guess like talking about are we looking at tokens or similar that maybe don't require a bridge? Sure. I would say like native tokens and similar we adore. I think Scroll needs to mature quite a bit, and like the market needs to figure out what is the good collateral and what is not. Lore is obviously a native token. Nuri is a native token. I think those are, and then the token, TKN token. So we're looking at all of these, and I would say it's probably 6 months plus until we can think really hard about collateralizing them. They need to mature. We need to see who's able to kind of stand on their own two legs long term. But yeah, and I would say as well, like the layer 2 bridges are really nice. They work good, and I would say, like I mentioned earlier, Scroll is really high trust in terms of technical capabilities. So yeah, we're not like holding out for more native tokens, but we're definitely exploring them.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so I want to dive in. I always love the part where I can hopefully ring some arms of projects to share some alpha. Also, no worries if you don't want to. But for those of people exciting and following lore, what can we look forward to Q3, Q4, into the beyond? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the next big thing is Lore USD, and that's probably happening within the next couple of weeks. So launching our native stablecoin, obviously the IFO is a really big one. Anything that you're particularly looking forward to, Ulver?
Well, I guess I would add to that for the stablecoin, we're very like well set up to support these kind of like yield-bearing assets, like the RWA assets, and
Yeah.
I think a lot of those stablecoins, there could be a lot of TVL in that, and then we're kind of like set up to act as leverage layer because treasury bill yield is not so exciting to everyone. Yeah, it's still like very good pristine collateral, so I think that would be like a good part of the long-term scaling plan, because treasury bill yield will always be there, and it can kind of like serve as a backbone. But
Yeah.
yeah, other than that, I think we're also set up to support other protocols. So it kind of depends, which protocols deploy on Scroll. But I think we're set up to support Pendle and GMX, and we're looking at those kinds of things on other chains. So I think that's also like a possibility going forward, like more in the long term.
Yeah. And I think for those who aren't, which is probably most people, too familiar with our team, we've been working really hard on declarative intent solving for the past 2.5 years. So we're like very close to market with a declarative intent driven like DeFi application that will plug into Lore. Kind of a lot of what we do in terms of DeFi at the protocol level is kind of in service to the end game, which for us, like I like to say, like, DeFi, if DeFi has to be like 20 different, single purpose web applications, I think we're not doing something super right. So Lore is kind of our entry into Scroll with our declarative intent solving, which will include like, on-ramp, off-ramp with your bank account or credit card. It will include like a lot of really interesting reporting features and stuff like that. So I'm sure if you follow Lore, I don't want to like shill a non-scroll specific thing because this is more universal, but definitely I would say follow Lore, and as we get integrated with some of this other tech, we'll have announcements and talk through. So definitely like check it out, and I would say as far as like AI tooling, intent solving as it pertains to yield products, I'm super duper interested in that long term. And for us, really what that means is, we find the best way to onboard people right now. Hopefully, eventually it'll be Scroll, but it's through USDC on Base. And a thing we think about when we deploy on Scroll is how do we get someone from there to Scroll? If everybody is onboarding through this pipeline over here, but we're on Scroll and we want everybody over here, what our technology is designed to do is with a single prompt, someone can go from easy to onboard to best yield or most Ethereum aligned in seconds. So that's really like a big goal we have, and I think right now just talking to people on Scroll and talking to our network, like Scroll, I think is the funnest place to farm, and I think what's really hard for a lot of users is figuring out how to get here. So that's something that we're working, really hard to do, because when I tell my mom, like, we just deployed Lore, mom, I know you want to be here, or my nephew, I want to make sure that they don't have to trip over 100 weird applications to get here. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I actually had that problem. I was getting my girlfriend to farm on Scroll, and it was a bit hard to explain everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. Oh, yeah. I love how we're treading into, like, the nephew territory now. That's
Yeah.
new. But okay, Yeah, I was super excited about Intense when I first heard about them, but I want to maybe take a step back for those in the audience who aren't familiar with it. If you could just tell us like what declarative intent solving is.
Sure, sure. So declarative intent solving is basically an outcome-driven IO model, and that's also nonsensical. So let me break it down even further. Um, so right now, like in the world of imperative intents and in the world of traditional interfaces, you need to type in, like you need to click on, I want this. You need to type in, I want this much of this, and I want to do it this amount, go. And that's what we see right now with RFQ, imperative intent solving, regular interfaces, everything you see, touch on. But the issue that we find in DeFi and with finance overall is there's a big cognitive barrier to entry. It's like, okay, this person maybe doesn't care as much about like calculus, as some of the nerdier types. This person maybe doesn't really care about the finer nuances of finance. But what they do care about is they care about their personal finances, they care about their earning power, and they care about the outcome. So really what a declarative intent is, if I'm declaring, I want the best ETH yield, um, you know, a regular interface has no idea what to do with that. It's like, okay, maybe you ask that and we give you a list of things that you can do. But what our system is designed to do, and this system is called Codex, cod3x.org. It'll be on Scroll. Hopefully you'll all be using it. But really it's designed, when someone says, I want the best ETH yield, if they're going the manual route, it's like, okay, I have my USDC that I just onboarded from Coinbase. I need to swap it into ETH. I need to bridge it here. I need to go to this application. I need to go to this application. I need to read 2 Investopedia articles. I need to watch a YouTube video, and then I'm good to go. But what we do is we take that input, we look into their wallet. Okay, oh, I know you have USDC there. You're asking for the best ETH yield. I don't see any ETH. So I'm going to, just as like Google Maps might suggest a route, I'm going to figure out, okay, they need to do this, they need to bridge, they need to do this, they need to do that. And I can create and compress a transaction into a single click in a matter of seconds to get the user from point A to point B. And this is really like enabled by cross-chain message passing. It's enabled by smart contracts using like strict requirements to ensure outcomes are what we expect. And then you kind of remove cognitive barriers to entry. You save people time, you save people money, and you save people margin for error using a system like this. So we think that what declarative intent solving can do is it can solve for information asymmetry, being this person knows a lot, you're busy and don't have time to know as much as this person about this thing. So right now your 2 options are you give them your money so they manage it, or you just lose in the markets. And our goal is to reduce the gap between this and this, such that you can operate with fewer middlemen, and you can kind of engage with DeFi and finance in a really kind of, it's impossible for finance to be positive sum. It's very like zero-sum game, but you can at the very least have like acute control over your outcome. And that's what's really exciting about DeFi to me, because without composability and without transparency and without the auditability of blockchain, you couldn't do something like this. So that's why we build, that's why we get up in the morning, is to really get to a point where, when we talk to our girlfriends, moms, nephews who are busy doing cool stuff instead of sitting at their computer learning about DeFi all day, for them it takes seconds, and it doesn't require us sitting over their shoulder and being like, oh no, you fat fingered the bridge transaction, it's over. It's just a very simple rote process.
That's so funny. Oh, attacked. Not cool. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Um, okay, cool. I guess maybe we can just end with a few takeaway summary, and then I'll let you guys get back to building. So, and I'm going to say some notes I've taken, and at any point you could be like, Emily, you were not listening. You got it totally wrong, or you missed this really important part. Call me out. We learn through mistakes. Right. So Lore is a secure, stable lending platform. What's really exciting is you guys make secure lending primitives available, meeting people where they're at. So in this case, at Scroll. What was I going to say? I think what's really exciting about Lore that I've heard throughout this is this kind of podcast? It's a live stream. It's not on Spotify or anything, but maybe soon. I don't know. But what was I going to say? You guys are really entrenched in the ecosystem. So working with other DeFi protocols across there. I kind of was wondering about this. I'm not sure. You mentioned Codex deploying it on Scroll. Does that mean it'll also be like a tool available for developers who want to like use what you've built?
Yeah, longer term, we have a visual programming language that we use to build these routines, and you can plug into RAG. You can, use prompt injection and just do it all visually. We'll be making that available probably in the next 6 months to individual developers. But for now, we're kind of perfecting it and mastering it internally. But we want to create a marketplace for routines, and a lot of that will be like, obviously we love the Lore front end and it's so beautiful. If you haven't checked it out, it's on lore.finance. But we feel that, getting to a point of absolute abstraction such that like, we can help with reporting, we can help with other cool stuff, while you're working. That's the goal with Codex, and developers will be able to use it. And they'll be able to use it without needing to, they might want to program their own databases or plug in their own RAG system. But in the meantime, they can use ours.
Yeah. Super cool. Wow, amazing. I don't know. This feels very much like Google providing Kubernetes as a public good. I don't know. For those of you who get the reference. Yeah. I think that I don't know if you guys had anything else you wanted to add. Otherwise, I listed, I guess, the website that I caught here, but just other ways to connect and learn more and get started. Like, what's the first thing someone should do when
Yeah,
getting on
we
Lore.finance?
need Twitter followers, so follow us at Lore Finance, please. Everybody listening. But otherwise, yeah, I would say get into our Discord and just like talk to us. We have like, I've personally like helped maybe hundreds of developers figure out smart contract engineering, security, etc. If you're a business on chain, we do all sorts of consulting. And if you like are convincing enough, we could probably do it for free, unfortunately. But yeah, we're here to be a positive contributor to Scroll, and our mindset is like we want to grow the DeFi market.
Yeah.
We want to help reinforce best practice. We want to get everybody as smart and equipped as they can, so that Scroll is successful and our industry is successful.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's so good to
So talk to
hear.
us.
Yeah. I feel like I'm the same. There's opportunities for like making money off of providing help, but I'm like just so bad at
Yeah.
asking. I don't know. It's good not to be extractive, I think. So I'm
Yeah.
really excited that you guys are working with us as a team.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess takeaways were follow Lore Finance on Twitter or X. Head over to lore.finance to get started. And yeah, if
You
that's
did it.
everything, we did it. I'll close off. The way I always close off live streams is you guys watching me count down from 10, kind of awkwardly,
That's
because
awesome.
there's always a bit of lag. And if no one asks any questions in those 10 seconds, then I'll let you guys go.
Okay.
So, I
Yeah,
mean,
we
feel
can
free to
maybe
count
strike
with
a
me.
pose. Like
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, well, thank you guys so much.
Thank
I'm
you.
going